Hello everyone and welcome back to this second hour of 4 hours we'll be playing tonight. And so during the break we talked a bit about the severity of the training the characters undertake during the weeks they have together. And Medea or Aya actually made a good point, which was that, well, Aya, I think you might as well explain it to our dear viewers, just what it is.
Francesca said that she'd start out on a low burner. There would be nothing there, but the more severe it comes, even if Medea takes a rather big tumble, like lands wrongly and then takes a tumble, she doesn't seem like it hinders her the least, even though it should probably have hurt a lot. As if she's either tough enough to ignore the pain, or she doesn't feel it at all.
Cool. And okay, so like I said, you have a few weeks of training with each other before. So let's give it 6 weeks. You have 6 weeks of training.
Sure.
And on the first day of the 6th week, or rather 7th week, sorry, your Inquisitor comes a-knocking. While you guys are at the firing range, I imagine that Sister Francesca has set up some kind of specific firing exercise.
Yes. She would be setting up increasingly difficult fire exercises, starting out with, basically, oh, look, there's a target, shoots at it, please hit it.
Yep.
To, this is a crowd of people, kindly do not shoot the innocent civilians, and, hit the ones that are blue, not the ones that are red, that sort of thing.
Yep. Okay, so as Francesca is setting up this specific exercise, the doors leading into the firing range open up, and in walks your Inquisitor, Marquise Iudex. She's dressed in the same way she was when you first met her, a black body glove and a red long cloak. But floating beside her is a servo skull.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, nice.
And
handy tool to have.
Very. So for those of you who are unaware of what a servo skull is, it's basically a skull with some capabilities built into it, depending on the needs of its owner.
It's got a small anti-grav engine and some computing ability.
Exactly.
So it's a flying skull.
It's a flying skull. Yes.
Made of metal.
Yep.
No, a real skull.
It's a real skull, but it's got
skull
robotics built into the skull.
Yep.
Yes.
And
I'll find a picture.
She walks over to it is, and I suggest that those of you who are unaware of what a servo skull is, Google it. Actually, I think our dear Akalon may have.
I think it's already been accomplished
for us.
Yeah.
So this is basically
Medea is creepy.
This is basically a servo skull, and I've made it visible to our viewers as well. So, so
good
that
picture,
kind of thing is floating beside your Inquisitor. She walks over to stand beside Sister Francesca, and for a moment there's this silence between you as she observes the ongoing exercise.
And the very moment that she appears, Francesca will signal to the others that, finish this round of fire, and then, pay attention. The important person is here. And and then she turns to face the Inquisitor and, of course, bows her head because,
because Inquisitor.
Because Inquisitor and because important person.
Yeah, Tim will definitely stop as soon as the order is given and pay the appropriate respect.
Yes, same here. If Akalon will finish up and then either bow or kneel, depending upon which is more appropriate.
Jumping up and down.
Yay!
Doing jumping jacks. Maybe not. Okay.
How goes the training, Sister Francesca?
Quite well, Your Excellency. It is progressing as I had hoped. Obviously, we come from very, very different backgrounds, fighting-wise, but there's a great deal of potential here. We have an excellent mix of abilities, I think. And we should be able to make very good use of it.
Excellent. Most excellent.
I can give you a further briefing if you should wish, of course, but I'm sure you have all the information already.
Still, I would very much like to hear your assessment of your progress.
My assessment, if we take people one at a time, is if we start with Akalon, Akalon's abilities are, of course, primarily in his mind, and they are as of yet relatively untrained. However, with the guidance of appropriate techniques and under the auspices of the God Emperor, I am certain that he will be able to develop to be a powerful weapon. His particular fighting style should be and will be to stay in the rear and to stay behind myself, seeing as he is not heavily armored and his abilities are equally well used from a distance as up close, perhaps even more so. Again, distance comes into play with Tim, who is at his absolute best. If there is time before a fight to prepare the battlefield, set him up at a distance, overlooking the intended area of conflict. If we should be surprised and he does not have that time, he should make sure to get as much distance between himself and as many of the enemies as possible, to be able to pick them off one at a time. His accuracy is excellent, I should say, and with again further training and the proper equipment, he will be an absolutely lethal force on any battlefield for the Emperor's enemies. In Medea's case, she is extremely mobile. I have taken note of the fact that she rarely stays in the same place for more than a few moments at a time. My personal opinion is that eventually, considering how much she runs around, eventually equipping her with some light armor and a couple of very heavy pistol type weapons would probably be the best option. She will be in and out before the enemy really realizes that she's there. And as for myself, of course, I shall take my place in front of the others and absorb as much fire as possible, while laying down my own field of fire.
Would you say, after 6 weeks of practice, that you are in a place where you are ready to undertake your first mission for the Inquisition?
Yes, I believe we are. And with the blessing of the Emperor, I am also certain that we shall succeed.
I'm glad to hear it. Because I too feel that you are ready for your first assignment. I would like you all to do whatever you need to do, and then meet me in the briefing in, shall we say, half an hour.
We will be there.
Excellent. And then she turns around and leaves.
Yep. Medea looks at everyone with a smile. Because
No, she doesn't. Francesca does.
Well, no, Francesca does. Sorry. Yes. Why did I've been talking about Medea so much? I immediately swapped. Yes. No, Francesca looks at everyone with a smile, and it's pretty clear that she's quite happy with this. Like, yay, we're ready, sort of thing.
I were just about to say Taryn tilts her head, but she doesn't.
No, because that's another wrong character here.
But I'm pretty sure a werewolf would be so good in this world. And give it a power armor, and no one will ever.
You would be counted as a filthy mutant and killed on sight. But yeah, other than that,
if it was a sanctioned mutant,
I'm pretty sure that being some kind of bestial thing would never be sanctioned.
Yep.
But in any case, Francesca doesn't have much that she needs to do, really. So she basically waits for everyone else to be ready, and then.
So,
yes.
Medea sheathes her guns. Does this mean we're leaving?
It means that we will be given a job very shortly that we need to do. Yes.
I should inform the quartermaster that I'm borrowing the scope for a mission. Then
that is probably a very good idea. Yes.
Need to see if I can requisition a pistol.
Yes, by all means. Which ones are you trained to use?
Las weaponry.
Excellent. I'm sure that they will be able to find a spare one that you can borrow for the duration of the mission. Anything you need to do, Medea?
Probably a couple of extra clips. That's about it.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Well, Francesca goes with them and requisitions.
Medea does look troubled, though.
Francesca
she doesn't say anything,
a couple of
but
extra clips as well, but that's all. So, yeah.
Okay, so like a couple of extra clips isn't an issue. The scope is also not an issue. You can requisition it for this mission and then hand it back when you're done.
Well, that was the deal. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it worked for now. But eventually, I imagine the quartermaster will just say, "Here, you can have it.
Yeah, keep it.
And save me the paperwork."
Yes.
Always the plan. Annoy the official until he gives you what you want.
yeah. But for now, he's pretty strict on the notion that you better give it back once you.
Of course.
And
we are an unknown quantity as of yet.
Yep. And the last pistol is also not an issue. Plenty of those in the armory.
That's good. Is it going to be the one I've got listed, which is a compact model?
Yep.
Or is it going to be a... Okay.
It's going to be
the one you have
from start, yeah.
That's fine. Compact one then.
Yep.
Well, at least it's concealable.
Yes, it is. Because, you're not walking down the street in the company of someone wearing full power armor. You really need to conceal your weaponry.
Yes, but maybe if I lose the staff, I can get away as being a respectable pilgrim.
True. That's a good point. That's a
actually a very good point.
Okay, so you requisition the gear you feel you need, and when I say a couple of extra clips, it is actually two extra clips.
That's fine.
So and of course I expect you to keep a tally. And
so a clip. Would that be a charge pack for a last weapon?
Yep.
Okay. So, is it one for each weapon or just for a weapon of choice?
I'd say one for each weapon.
Cool.
And in my case, that means two. I only have the one.
Yep.
What if I have 3 weapons?
Then you get a total of 6 clips /
Wow.
charge
Nice.
thingies.
And my hunting rifle uses rounds.
Yeah.
So how many rounds in a clip?
How many can there be when it's fully loaded? It says capacity.
Clip 5. Okay.
Yep.
So
cool. Then I have that much in total. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Okay, so you requisition your gear, you gear up basically, and then I imagine, unless
Yes,
you
quickly
object to
proceed
this,
to the
you
meeting room.
head to the briefing room, which
Indeed.
is a small Spartan room. There's a table. There are a few
Is it
chairs.
Sparta?
No, it's no. Sparsely furnished. Sparsely. What's it called?
Sparsely.
English. Sparsely.
Yeah, sparse or sparsely.
Yes. True.
I mean,
Anyway.
Spartan doesn't really count, but that's besides the point.
In any case, as you enter this room, the Inquisitor is already there. She's sitting down, and she motions for you to sit as well as you enter. I assume you do so.
Of course. Well, Francesca last time around remained standing on the simple principle that sitting down in power armor is a little uncomfortable, and she would be wearing it right now.
Yep.
on account that, for all she knows, once we are done here, we are getting shipped immediately.
That makes
Yes, you'd
sense.
think 10,000 years the Imperium has stood, and it's never thought to make power armor you could sit in.
That's not the purpose.
No, but there is such a thing as multifunctionality.
Shush, that's
A
heretical
power
talk.
armor wheelchair.
The machine,
There is one of those. That's
the machine god will not approve of that, and consequently, it's heresy.
That's true. But and as to the power armored wheelchair, there is a power armored chair, which is used by an Inquisitor in this setting. But that's
A right bastard on top of things. Anyway,
Yes. So
Power
you enter the room and sit down. Those of you who actually can sit.
yes, yes.
And the Inquisitor, of course, acknowledges the fact that power armor is power armor and
Yes.
is a thing. So once you're all seated, she nods and says, "Welcome to this your first briefing. This is the only time I'll be giving the briefing. In the future, some of my other agents will be doing this. But I wanted to see you off and get some idea of where you're at before you leave. So, Sister Francesca has assured me that she feels that you, as a group, are ready to undertake your first mission for the Inquisition. And that's all well and good. I would still like to hear it from you three as well, though. Do you feel ready for this?
yes. I'm feeling confident.
As
Training has
always.
been
You, Medea?
Medea is trying to eat her cookie without saying a sound. At least in real life. Give me a second.
Okay.
I was about to say, wait, there are cookies?
I want a cookie!
So that
Where did you find the cookie? Mine! Well, Medea looks troubled. And then just goes, so the life I had is now behind me.
Indeed. You are now an agent of the Inquisition.
She sighs deeply. For the first time, she actually knows what that means. Like something just completely overtook her for a moment. She looks down, just wipes her eyes, then I'm ready.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. So, a week ago, we received a distress signal from Sofano Luna, which is one of the 3 moons orbiting Sofano Prime. I don't know if you're aware of Sofano Prime, but it is a mining world close to Intilla. On Sofano Luna, we have, and by we I mean the Holy Inquisition, we have a facility known among my fellow Inquisitors and I as Facility Helix. In this facility, we keep individuals we've apprehended, enemies of the Imperium, most of them highly dangerous. Keep them there for examination, incarceration, until such time as their final fate can be meted out. Like I said, we've received a distress signal from Sofano Luna. We received this distress signal 1 week ago. Since then, there has been nothing but silence. Your job is to go to Sofano Luna and extract a certain individual, a prisoner, on located in the facility, a woman named Alvena Iudex. She has been apprehended by us, by the Inquisition, suspected of witchcraft and the murder of 6 inquisitorial agents. We don't know what's happened at Sofano. We don't know what caused the distress signal and the subsequent silence. But your primary objective, go there, extract Alvena Iudex, and return here with her. You will be accompanied by a squad of inquisitorial stormtroopers. But once you land at Sofano Luna, their primary objective is to hold the landing area until you're ready to leave the place. So you are all but alone when you move into this facility. Do you have any questions so far?
Or is there any kind of automated defense system that we should be aware of, such as auto turrets or similar?
There are plenty of defense systems in place in the facility Helix. Fortunately, we cannot say whether or not they're active or they've been disabled, because we simply don't know yet what.
No.
But if they are there, they will try to keep you out.
Good. Then I have another question. Since none of us obviously have been to Sofano Luna or the facility there, we don't have much of an idea of the size of the facility. Would it be possible for us to have access to the schematics, the layout of the place, while we are en route to study?
Yes.
Good, party leader. Good.
Yes, that is indeed possible.
Thank you.
So, while your primary objective is the extraction of this Alvena Iudex, there is a secondary objective. If you can, find out what happened there. It may be obvious as soon as you land. We simply don't know, but find out what happened.
Indeed.
If your objectives, if there's a conflict, Alvena Iudex is your primary objective. We need her off the place.
If we get there and she has already died, what are our orders then? To bring her deceased body with us?
Yes.
Okay. Understood.
One more thing. While you are there, you should consider any and all living creatures hostile. And you should use any and all means necessary to extract Albania Iriax, either alive, or if she's already perished once you get there, her corpse.
Understood.
Good. So, I don't know if you have anything you need to do before you leave, but I've already made arrangements for a black ship to take you to Sofano Luna, and it leaves within the hour.
Well, Francesca just looks to the others, but it's pretty clear she's ready to go. You didn't come through there.
Tim as well.
That sounded like, the cheesy god from above.
I shall endeavor to speak like this from now on.
No, please don't.
Please don't, though.
My
dad just nods. And she has kept her eyes on her hands.
Expect Akalon took the time to pack everything into his backpack, and other than obviously his weapon and his staff, which he'll have respectively in his jacket and holding on to. So yeah, he's ready.
Francesca just does one thing when she sees that Akalon is getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
She walks over to him and puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Have you ever been in an actual fight before, Akalon?"
Only the once.
Only the once.
And
did you use your powers, your psychic abilities during that fight?
Yes, but only to escape the conflict.
You do realize that in this fight that we are coming up on now, you will be called upon to use them offensively, correct? You are prepared to do that. The reason why I'm asking is because the moment you do, it may feel stressful. You are not a trained warrior or soldier. You haven't been conditioned to the act of actually killing, and I do not want to see you panicking when it happens, because while it is never good for anyone to panic on a battlefield, it is particularly problematic when it's a psyker doing so. And while she says this, she just, she inspects him briefly and makes sure to see that he's got his mercy blade at his side.
Mm-hmm.
And then she nods and says, I have every confidence that you will come through this with flying colors. But I wanted to be sure that you feel prepared for what is undoubtedly going to be necessary.
Thank you for your concern. I am trained rigorously in all the actions needed to be taken to remain calm in stressful situations, and as you have now checked, I do have he fingers the handle of the knife.
Yes.
My final solution, if necessary.
I hope it will not be necessary.
I think those of you, if any of you are looking at the Inquisitor while Sister Francesca is talking to Akalon, will notice a smile. She is apparently very pleased with what's going on between the two. But she rises from her chair and says, once you board the vessel that will take you off this planet, you will find a data slate with schematics of facility Helix, and also in an image of Alvena HERETICUS, so you know to look for.
Thank you. It will, of course, be studied rigorously.
Excellent. The God Emperor protects.
The God Emperor protects.
And protects.
The Inquisitor leaves the briefing room.
Yes. When Francesca's done talking to Accolon, she heads over to Medea first, and she does have concern on her face. There's no hostility. There's no "I'm gonna tell you off." Nothing of the sort. She looks honestly and genuinely concerned for the other woman, and she says, "You asked if this meant that your old life was behind you. And, well, Inquisitor Dex, of course, said yes. Let me ask you one thing. In your old life, what did you dream of? What did you want?"
Medea just keeps her head down. You can't see her face because that's what her hood was made for.
Yes.
To see them smile just once, and then she gets up and turns around and leaves to get ready.
Jessica makes a mental note of getting to the bottom of that one. And then she turns around and heads over to Tim. And
Her expecting me.
Sorry, you have to speak up.
He looks at her expectantly,
No.
clearly
Well,
expecting her to say something.
Good grief.
It's not good. I don't want Monty Python again.
I think we need to look into getting a decent microphone for you soon.
Yeah.
Because this is getting silly.
Are you certain?
Yes.
Stop it. This is silly. This is very silly.
Oh, don't grovel. There's something I can't stand. It's grovelers.
yes, exactly. All right. She looks at Tim and says, "Well, you have at least been in firefights before. That much is obvious."
Well, I prefer to stay out of them.
Well, true. Your firefights, as I've seen, usually consist of one shot.
He nods.
That is probably not going to be the case here. I'm afraid we might. I'm not afraid, but I'm certain that we will run into trouble. An inquisitorial prison facility doesn't just stop transmitting, except for an emergency distress beacon. We can probably guess as much. But
I can do one shot, and then one shot, and then another shot.
Exactly. Do you feel ready?
I would like to have a look at this as well.
Have a look at what? Sorry.
What was it? Schematics of the
Yes,
environment. The
absolutely.
schematics as well.
I would imagine that we should all look at them, really. So yes.
In that case, just give the order.
Let's go then.
Okay.
I am ready.
Stop it. Stop it.
But it
Okay.
works. We can hear him when he does this just once or twice.
Indeed.
Maybe it doesn't like it when I'm high pitched,
Maybe.
which is bad because my voice is not very deep.
No, it's not.
It's a conundrum.
I'll have to borrow Morgan Freeman or someone to speak for me.
Brian
get-
Blessed or someone like that.
Oh
Oh,
my.
Morgan Freeman. If we
Brian
get
Blessed-
Morgan Freeman, we are gonna get so many views.
Oh,
did
God,
actually do a part in the Warhammer game, if I remember correctly.
All
There
right,
you go.
let's. Well, I think people were ready to.
Yeah,
head off
Medea is
into
standing
the-
ready at the closest you can at
Yeah.
the
So
whatever ship.
we are about to head off into the Big Black.
The Big Black, indeed.
To use a Firefly term.
Yep. So, you make whatever last minute arrangements you need to make. I don't know what those might
The only
be, but
thing to pray briefly before getting on board, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
yeah. And then you
Yep.
get on
Oh
board the
dear Emperor.
and then you get on board the shuttle that'll take you up to the black ship.
Indeed.
And
If it's
and-
outside, Medea will be a little skittish.
Oh, you
because
will go outside. You kind of have to.
She haven't been outside for 6 weeks, so she's kind of told herself that it's still just a big light bulb, but they're suddenly very tall to the ceiling again.
Yep. And it only gets worse when you get on board the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine everyone else dragging Medea along. She sort of
I don't wanna go outside!
Actually, when they get on board, I think Francesca will make a concerted effort to stay close to Medea in case she panics once she realizes that they are actually leaving orbit.
At first it's just, oh, they opened the door, and then she flees inside because fuck the sun.
Mhm.
And it's just,
Well,
why is
the
it moving?
first the first thing that happens is that you board the shuttle, and you already do this while within the confines of the Tricon. They have their own
Landing pad.
landing pad, and so you take off toward Hyptasis, above which is the spaceport.
Space. Now I feel at home again.
Yep. And eventually you reach the spaceport where the black ship is. It's docked.
Sorry.
And you board the black ship. I can't remember exactly what class of ship it is.
It's a pew-pew ship.
A cruiser? No, it wouldn't be. That would be too much. Probably a destroyer or something. Maybe.
Yeah.
Shooty, bang, bang cruiser.
Anyway,
Who knows?
one of those big ships. The spaceships. The biggins.
Biggin.
It's a big ass spaceship.
I think a lot of them are actually light cruisers, dauntless light cruisers,
It might be.
if I remember. Anyway, yeah.
And once there, you are given temporary quarters because it'll take a bit for you to reach Sofano Luna.
Yes.
So you are given your own quarters, and you'll also notice that there is a squad of Inquisitorial stormtroopers there as well as your Inquisitor mentioned there would be. And there, the squad leader, at some point during the journey, I also imagine you'll be taking a look at the data slate.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at some point during your journey to Sofano Luna, the squad leader approaches. He specifically approaches Sister Francesca. And is Sister Francesca constantly wearing her power armor?
While on ship, no, she would. But when in orbit, or not in orbit, but in transit, she would, if so long as they are not in warp, she would be just wearing her robes. Once they enter the warp for the jump, yes, then she will be wearing her armor at all times.
Okay, cool. Well, the squad leader approaches her at some point, and basically the two have a little powwow where he informs her what will happen, or at least what the stormtroopers are there to do, which is to hold the landing zone while the acolytes are in the facility.
Yes.
And he stresses this fact. They cannot provide backup.
No,
yeah,
we are informed by. She says this. We are informed by Inquisitor Iudex that we are in fact entirely on our own once we enter the facility.
Good.
And we will not be calling for backup from you. It will be either we succeed, or we will be joining the Emperor.
Good.
Either
You will be equipped with you specifically will be equipped with a microbead once we
Yes.
we get there, just so you can inform me whenever you're approaching the landing zone.
Yes, to start up the engines and so on.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Would you? Is he what is he, a lieutenant or?
Yeah,
or
he would be a lieutenant.
All right. So I'd be saying, would you prefer, Lieutenant, that I left the Vox bead on in order for you to be able to follow our progress in, or would you prefer if I shut it off and only turned it on when we are on our way out? I am imagining that should something ill befall us while we are there, it might give the Inquisitor a slight amount of information for the next group sent here, if at the very least we might be able to get a few words off in the Vox bead in the meantime.
I think I would prefer if you keep it shut off.
All right.
Unless you feel that we need to know that you won't make it out. Then
all right. That makes
if you are in a situation where you can turn it on and inform me of such, then
yes,
of course.
I shall do so, but of course,
thank you.
Given the Emperor's protection, I doubt we shall get to that point.
Emperor protects.
The Emperor protects. Which reminds me, Lieutenant, would your men be willing to join me in prayer?
Of course.
In the ship's chapel.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. There is never a better time than the present.
Very, very true, sister. Very true. He nods and leaves to
yes.
fetch his men, and I imagine a small prayer in the chapel.
Yes.
Is a scene.
Yes.
Okay, so about the data slates. So there are schematics of the facility Helix, which is the facility you'll be going into. I don't have any ready. I'm sorry to say. For you to look at, but
no.
The facility is basically shaped in like a hexagon,
yes.
with 6 different sections, and in the center of this the facility is the control area where where everything is controlled from, and where the guards have their quarters and so on and so forth, laboratories and interrogation rooms and such. They're all in the center, and the rest is holding cells.
All right.
So that's what you can see, and the schematics also point out where the various defense systems are located. As for your targets, Alvena Iriax, it is, and I should just do this. It is this person. You should be able to see her on screen now. In roll 20.
Well, she looked like she needs some lotion.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
And we're meant to be bringing that back alive?
Yep.
Emperor, help us.
I think if Medea says a picture of her, she won't be that delicate and just go, "What the fuck happened to her face?"
Oh, she will, because there is a grainy image of this person in on the data slate. It's grainy enough so that you can't be sure if the details of the cracks in her skin are actually a
that is
result
why she's asking.
of the image file being corrupt, or if it's actually something. So yeah.
But she's still asking because that looks weird. Weirder than anything she's ever seen.
The one thing that Francesca notices is not so much the cracks in the skin, because I should say that can be because of a distortion. She notices the color of her eyes. and
Why is
says
that
that
strange?
because red eyes, that it is not a naturally occurring eye color for humanity. Consequently, this speaks of mutation. At least as a possibility.
And the data file is somewhat scarce in its information, but basically, she is, like the Inquisitor also said, she's suspected of witchcraft and murder of
6 inquisitorial agents.
exactly. And well, suspected. When it's the Inquisition, suspicion is.
Well,
really the
yeah.
thing,
They don't
because-
suspect they know, and even if it's wrong, they still know.
But
Nobody expects the Imperial Inquisition.
there's no mention of any exceptional circumstances surrounding her. There's no mention of her being a psyker or anything of the sort.
Well, only the word witchcraft, which in itself is kind of indicative.
Yep, absolutely.
Where is Helix? Can we see it on the map?
No, you can't, because well, you can. I can shift ping the shift ping. This is Sofano Prime. I'll ping again.
Yeah.
And
so it's orbiting that.
So the facility is located on one of the 3 moons of Sofano Prime, specifically Sofano Luna, and so that's where you're going, to one of the moons.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Excellent.
So, at some
When
point,
they first get out into space, Medea will be staring out the windows, sort of scared and very fascinated.
I imagine it would be a very fascinating sight for when it's the first time you're out there, and you spent your entire life in an underhive.
Yeah.
I imagine the first time she actually sees the sun that's orbiting Scylla, she just points, the light bomb is a planet.
It's on fire, Francesca says. It's flame. All flame.
And why does it go dark in the evening?
Because you see the planet that we just left, it turns around itself. When it turns around itself, at some point, you are on the side that's pointing away from the sun.
Oh.
That's why it goes dark.
Medea doesn't look like she completely understands, but she's trying.
I think when Francesca explains, Tim will point to himself and, slowly turn around. And then when he's turning away from her, he'll say, well, if you imagine you're the sun, I can't see you now because you're behind me. If I turn around, I'll see you again.
That makes sense, but you don't really feel the turning when you're down there.
No, mostly because the planet is so large that you don't.
Alright. She is trying to wrap her head around it.
Yep, that's fine. But Francesca's still smiling when she's standing there looking out the porthole in complete rapt fascination. And she says, it is beautiful though, isn't it?
Beautiful. It's fucking scary.
I wasn't referring to the sun as such. I was referring to everything.
Oh. Yep.
And
even though I grew up with a site like this, it's still amazing.
It is. First time I was on board a ship and they took me to the Schola Progenium for my training. I could barely believe how big it was. I kept thinking of how far away I came or went from everything I knew from my home. I'm not even from this sector.
As you say that, it seems like something comes back to Medea, and she looks back towards Scylla and then just goes to her room.
Acolin is looking out as well. His eyes are quite... eyes aren't wide, but he's looking very sort of contemplative. He says, "This is the first time I've really seen it properly. The first time I ever went into space was to travel to receive my sanctioning on Terra.
Obviously, you are blessed. You have stood before the throne. And that is a blessing almost no one will ever experience."
I stood before the throne, and I was given a chance by the Emperor himself, a chance to take this imperfect gift of mine and use it for the betterment of mankind.
That is indeed a blessing. It's also a privilege. We are, as I said before, we are all imperfect. The only perfect anything, anywhere, is the Emperor.
Mm.
And your abilities, as they multiply, are obviously, well, problematic. And you will find many of my sisters even who hate and loathe the Psyker. I do not hate and loathe a Psyker who has stood before the Emperor and been sanctioned. It would be, in my opinion, wrong to draw into doubt and question that sanctioning.
That's kind of you to say. But yes, I have this chance, and I have a measure of understanding of what to do with this power. But I will be careful. I must be all the time.
Of course.
But yes, it's being the first time to truly see the stars and the realm of the Emperor like this.
First time I set foot on a warship like this, we were going to my order. I was still very young with a bolter in hand, and we were going to suppress a rebellion. And when we arrived, rather, we were ambushed by traitor forces, insurrectionists, and a boarding torpedo struck the ship I was on board. It just so happened that I was close to the ship's magazines at the time with my immediate superior and my sisters in my squad, as well as another squad, and we managed to hold the insurrectionists off. So my first journey into space was anything but peaceful, but it is beautiful nonetheless. Sorry, I believe I interrupted. I do apologize.
No, it's good to hear you speak.
I speak too much. I am constantly told so by the order. I speak too much and listen too little.
Well, I will not deign to judge on your capacity to listen, sister, but I think you will need to speak at least as much as you do now, for it seems quite naturally you have become the one to lead us in all our dealings to the Inquisitor now. And nothing would please me more than to work alongside you and to have you lead me and Tim and Medea to whatever fate may befall us.
Well, I shall do my very best.
And that is when you hear a monotone voice in over the Vox saying transition in 30 minutes counting.
That
And
is
somewhere in her room, Medea's thinking, transition? What the fuck is he talking about?
all right. I will need to adorn my my armor for the journey, just in case. Akolon, I think quite probably Medea is sick and tired of hearing me prattle. Could you explain to her what happens when we enter the warp in terms that she might be able to grasp? Because, let's face it, first time you hear the whispers from outside the Geller fields, it's going to be frightening.
Yes. Well, I have plenty of experience with that, but I shall inform her.
Thank you. I will be right back, and then she heads off to change into armor.
But Tim, we've kind of left him on his own.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he was with you, so he'll be getting ready as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Poor Tim, left all by himself.
Shall we continue role playing for the next few minutes, or did you want to take a break?
Oh, we can take a break now and then pick up with role playing after the break. I think we might as well pick up with Akolon trying to explain what's going to happen. That'll be interesting.
Yes.
So we'll take a break now and then we'll be back in 5-ish minutes.
Yes.